the development of Old Town and the development of the Red Onion Museum here. So the building that we're in is the Red Onion Museum. In 2001, when we had an annual meeting in Newcastle, or in Weston County, the original Red Onion Museum was opened in a small house over here. Or no, I'm sorry, in the back of the city offices. That's right. So that's where it originated. And I can remember when a young man by the name of Mike Cassidy. Some of you may remember Mike Cassidy. He was the president, I think, of the society at that time, and he was one of the first to go into the Red Onion Museum up here when it opened. And so Sam is going to tell us this this wonderful preservation story about how all of this wonderful exhibit here and the outbuilding, the Old Town buildings developed. Sam, come on up. And Sam, if I was incorrect in anything, you just straighten me out, okay?
Oh, I wouldn't do that, Mike, unless I had a chance. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. Mike did. We need Lucille Zembra was on there. Leonard Cash was on the museum district when we started the district. Mary Capps was another one, and we all worked together very hard to get this district started. And it was the first one in the state of Wyoming, so we're kind of proud of that. So and I, like Mike said, I was on it before, and then you always had to go to the schools, county commissioners, and the towns and beg for money. So that kind of ended up, and we knew what we had to spend, and that was it. So, and then when the Red Onion Museum, I'll give you a little history on that before I get to the Old Town. Anyway, Mike said I was the mayor, so the mayor had a little bit of influence, and I probably shouldn't have done it, but that's how the Red Onion Museum got started in the back of City Hall. And it cost the district $10 a year to have it there. So we got it started, and it's free. But you can see what we have now, so it's great. So, and then I was the mayor, and this was city property, and we started to thinking about what things needed to be done, and a great friend of mine, Dave Hallwell, sold his place and had a beautiful log cabin that he was born and raised in. And he went back 2 months later. The people that bought the place took a dozer and bulldozed it over and burned it. So Dave and I and Harry Klingen, Tom Rothleutner, we got together and got to thinking about what can we do to really save and preserve these buildings. And that's how this all came about. And it started with Harry Klingen's cabin, which somebody would talked about the Black Buttes. And that's where it came from. And that was the first one we moved in. And it was kind of on a volunteer, few people, myself. I didn't go get the cabin, but I helped get it ready to move. Mike Woods from Osage was real instrumental in getting everything done. And then all of a sudden, some things just fall into your lap that works. The highway department had a project that you could hire kids that either had a single mom or a single dad, or they got in trouble during the year. So this was a place that they could come and work. So the first year, I think we had 6 or 7, but one year we had 17 students from Upton. And they all worked hard to get the buildings moved and built the sod house. And one little story about this is how I was kind of born and raised. Is if you came to work, you needed 8 o'clock, you should have been there at 10 minutes to 8. So you know what to do. Well, we had 2 students that thought, I can come at 8:15. First thing you know, it was close to 8:30. Mike Woods came to me and he goes, what do we do about this? And I said, well, I know what my dad would have done. And I said, I was in business. If my employee came up and said, well, I'm just late. So we give them a warning, said, hey, 8 o'clock is when you go to work. And they kind of looked at me like, you know, I don't have to listen to you. So anyway, next couple of mornings it was still 1:15, and the next morning Mike Wood said, would you come out and we'll solve this problem? And I said, okay, I'll be out there at 8. All the other kids looked around like, why am I here? So, and anyway, these two kids, they were brothers. They showed up at 8:20. They kind of looked at me and I said, well, you might as well just turn around and go home because you're fired. And they looked at me like, and Mike Wood said, he's the boss, you're gone. And they went home, solved the problem. All the other 15 kids showed up 10 minutes early every day after that. So that was a good lesson to do. So, and then moving the cabins, they came from Crook County. Some of them, the Hawkins cabins out here, came from Crook County. The sod house was built by these 17 students. And we looked and looked, and Mike Woods, and they did the research, and you had to find soil that had a red root plant. And we looked all over, and then when I was a kid, there used to be a sod house out here halfway into Moorcroft. Sod shanty, I think is what it was called. And if you remember, I can remember as a kid, if you had a pipe that they could look at the Devil's Tower. Well, they had a sod house, so we got to looking around there, and that's where we found the sod to build the sod house. Most sod houses, they said, last about 5 to 7 years. So this one was built in 95 to 96, so you can see how much this one has stayed and good. It's got a little weather. Nita keeps telling me I need to fix the one side. So. But anyway, it was real fun to do, because it wasn't fun, it was hard work. But you had to find a certain plow, because too many of them, the shear came up too much and would roll the sod and break it. We had to find a walk behind a plow, and I think it's sitting out here right now. The shear was real flat, so the pieces of sod would come up and not break. So we had pieces of sod probably 24 inches long, and out there, they're about 16 inches thick. That's how come the walls are studded real good. And then just kept working on it, and then I was the mayor. I was for this. The next mayor was for it, and the next one said the town doesn't want to have nothing to do with the old town. So that's when we done the Upton Preservation Group, took it over. And then we worked on this and got grants through the Highway Department to build part of this and put it up. And we sell buffalo burgers. I've actually cooked better than 5,000 buffalo burgers, and that's what has kept this going. So, and you just have to thank a lot of people, because Carl Slagle Jr. was a real good hand. He worked out here for years. I worked with him where he stored buggies. He kept the cabins up and done work like that. So, then what, 3 years ago we got the museum to come out here. They bought this building from us almost 3 years ago. Almost 3 years now. So, and then they've done it, well, you can see for yourself. It's a terrific museum, and we like working with them side by side. I always said when we done our old town with the log cabins and the stuff we put in it, we didn't want material or museum quality things. We wanted a boiler that was rusty on the backside, or a cream can that had no bottom. That thing we can set out there. People can take it if they want. We don't care. But the good ones come to the museum. So, and as you can see, I'm still active in trying to keep Anita lined out, but I think it's the other way around. But anyway, we have lots of fun. I've had lots of fun over the years. Mike's been great to work with. I pick on everybody, so I hope that's right. And I had a good one, visited with a guy that loves tractors, and I got some old tractors down, and he thinks they're great. So, John, that's good to meet you and stuff. So, and I guess any other questions about any of them? What?
Where'd you get your buffalo meat?
Out of Rapid City. We did for a while up at Gillette, but they got so high priced that we just couldn't do that. So we go to South Dakota Meats, I think is the name of it. So, and we sell about 4 or 5 packages at least. Yep.
So what was what the red root dirt? I mean, why?
It was a plant, and the roots were red,
Right.
but they really grew and holds the soil together, so that it doesn't deteriorate and just fall apart. The roots really stay there. They're kind of a wiry. I don't know if you can see any of them in the sod house or not, but it was more of a wiry root instead of a soft root.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
I don't know if you can see any of them in the sod house or not, but it was more of a wiry root instead of a soft root. So, anybody else?
Could you give us a brief history of where the red onion name came from?
Red onion came from downtown Upton. I don't have any idea where they came up with, unless they had lots of red onions. That's what.
The red onion was a term associated with businesses that cater to the railroad workers, and Upton started as a railroad town, so that's why Jarbo, when he built the saloon, named it the Red Onion.
Ah, okay.
Sam,
Yes, Lucille.
it was named after a saloon.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. In fact, we're pretty sure that that's the bar right standing up on the wall right there.
Oh, wow.
That's the bar.
So I'm sure it could tell you some good stories if it would talk. So, yes.
Have you been interested in the history since you were a kid, or did it kind of come to you later?
Kind of later. In fact, I didn't like history in high school. You know, basketball and PE and all that stuff was good for me. And I love math, so, but history was something that I don't know. I guess somebody came and wanted me to be part of the museum board. Probably Lucille, I don't know. Did you root me into that, Lucille?
She's not even ashamed. Last night, nobody could say no to Lucille.
Right? Nope.
That's true. Well, and it also, you have to know that Lucille probably makes the best pancakes in Weston County.
So bribery is a part of it.
Yeah. So.
Sam, why don't you tell them about the Christmas decorations?
Oh, okay. And then last year, well, the year before, we started decorating the old town, and we didn't think of it ahead of time fast enough, and we ended up with the first year, I think we had 4 buildings. 4 buildings. Well, we decorated the sod house and some of the others. Last year, the Economic Development Board worked with us. We ended up with 12 cabins and wagons. 8 wagons, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 12 altogether.
Anyway, we decorated all of this. So then we lit it up every night. And we had a big party to start with to get it going. So, and then I guess about forgot, the last thing we've done, we built an ice cream shop right over here. And same thing, we got a grant from Sellers community, where they have a big community pasture out here. Well, they have a big fund that you can write for grants, and they give us $66,000 to build this. And then Dan Hart come up with the idea. He always has lots of good. I won't even tell you what he calls some of these ideas, but but anyway, several of us went out and we cut these slabs that we put on for siding, and that is actually just pine trees that he squared on one side and let the bark on the other, and that's the siding of that. So, and it's just an experiment in work. I mean, we hope we can get it opened next year with somebody running it. We tried to run it with young girls But, you know, people don't want to work. They want to work 4 hours or whatever a day, and we need to get it open so it's open all the time. And Anita's going to help us with running it part-time, so I'm afraid she'll probably eat up all the profit. But so, anything else?
Sam, tell us, the tables aren't in here all the time. Tell us what sits in here most of the time when there's not events going on. Okay,
well, this is, we got the highway grant because it's transportation, and we had a lot of these wagons already get donated. You got to keep them inside, because if a hail comes along, it'll wipe these out instantly. So all these wagons and buggies that you see setting out here, most of them will come back in here for protection and stuff. And then 4 years ago, Joyce's brother, John, who has passed away, and was your younger brother, he was real good helping. We built the lean-to so we could back buggies and stuff in. And that way, I guess we looked at that twofold, that protected them, but then people that just drove in, and if there was closed, they could still see a portion of our collection. So, and most of these wagons are local. Todd's,
sled I donated.
Yep, Shepherdson's donated a sled. I mean, going back to why I get started, I guess, on history. Walt Wagstaff was a pioneer of Upton and Weston County. Well, when he had his estate sale, he had a buggy, and you can see it out there. I paid $25 for it at the auction because it was setting in pine needles probably 18 inches deep. All of it was rusty. It was rusted and rotted and kind of like that. But Junior said, well, all the iron is there. He said, I bet between the two of us we can restore it. So that's, if you go look out here, you'll see a yellow wheel buggy and stuff. And Carl Slagle and he done most of the work, not me. So, but he was a great guy to work with, so.
I have a question also about the blacksmith shop.
Yep.
Was that actually a blacksmith shop brought here? And is it full of tools and stuff? Because it's always locked, and I'd like to, see in there. Or...
No, that was the, now their name, over by Crook County. Help me.
I don't know what you're thinking of.
The blacksmith shop.
Posted.
Just over Old Haverhill. But anyway, no, it was their cabin.
This side over Haverhill?
Yeah.
Not Mills's.
Nope. But anyway, we found, actually there's two cabins out here. One of the other cabin, and that is the only cabin that the logs are perpendicular. And they are actually in better shape than the others. My philosophy of that is, if you got it standing up here, the water runs off. Where if you got them laying like this, as soon as it finds something to soak in, it soaks in and rots the log.
Yeah.
But we've been fortunate. Most of these have been here almost 30 years. So they've done real well. So, and the one little cabin, we never did find out. The guy who owned the land donated it to us, and they figure it was one of the first cabins in Crook County. And you actually, when Mike Woods found it, this guy rancher told him where it was. He said it took him better than a half a day to find it, because it was down into some Quakies, all surrounded, and everybody figured that over there in Crook County that back then there were still the Indians. It has one little square window like that and a door, and that's the only openings in the thing. So they figured it was for protection.
Wow.
So.
Interesting.
Oh, what else? What am I leaving out, Mike?
Well, I want to ask Linda Fabian a question.
Okay.
About preservation efforts. So if you were a member of the Weston County Historical Society and you met Sam Haptonstall and he had done some preservation stuff, what would you do?
I would nominate him for an award.
What kind of an award?
A historic preservation award in honor of, memory of Marine Corps.
That's exactly right. And so this entity has been recognized with one of those awards in the past. And so it's very well deserved.
You owe me.
You can't say no to Linda. I'm sorry.
So, well, thank you very much. So, I mean, I do all this just because I like to see people come in and enjoy it. In fact, our next project is we're going to get the high school history class out here, and they're going to look at the log cabins and see if they can figure out what nationality built them. So, that's another goal of mine. Betty.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, when I was in Cody last year, they have an old town, and they have some wagons and so forth, but one of the guys that kind of runs it, they said the Upton had the best wagon collection in the state.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet, Mike.
Yeah.
Back to you. Okay. Thank you.
Once it starts slow, but boy, by mid-season, you see something, and by the end of the year, they're the scary team nobody wants to play. Those are more fun than the teams that come in that you know are going to dominate, and they are dominating. You know, you're almost afraid to lose when you've got really, really good teams and high expectations.
Oh, for sure.
Those are fun seasons. Is there that potential in Doby Sports this year for some of those programs?
I think it's possible. You know, Cody coming down into 3A this year is going to scare quite a few of us old 3A'ers, but we do have that potential for growth. We are not coming in at the beginning of the season at our highest potential, which frankly, you don't want. You want your team to grow. You want your team to develop and then get to that point by the end of the season to have that shot at postseason play. And